before the revolution, we had a famous saying since the 70s that the Egyptian government used to encourage migration so that people would make money instead of making revolution. So people went to the Gulf countries, they sent remittances back home, which is and still is one of the main resources of foreign currency. Now there are no signs of change, and if you look at the reports of the Center for Migration and Refugee Studies at the AUC, you will find that, I mean, there is no signs of change in the government policy, be it related to the change in dependence on remittances or the change in how the government is ready to protect and risk its relationship with Gulf countries in order to protect the rights of its workers. And we had recent cases where there was kind of reluctance from the Egyptian government to risk its relationship with Saudi Arabia in particular, where there are lots of Egyptian detainees in Saudi prisons in order to just defend the right of a particular person or a few hundreds of Egyptian workers. At the short run, I think the migration attitudes will not change. So people will still, especially with the climate of political instability in the country, people will not have the sufficient incentive to remain in the country. Well, some people actually relate that to the rise of Islamists to power as well, and how this affects the attitudes of Christians, for instance, and their attitudes towards migration. Again, we do not have kind of statistics to say that, well, people are now more willing to leave the country for that reason. But for the climate of political instability in general, I think people will still have this attitude of even risking their life and illegally migrate to European countries. On the long run, I think even people at Gulf countries, Egyptian migrants in the US or in the Gulf, will just wait and see until they kind of notice sufficient improvement in the country's economic and political situation in order to return. It will remain, I think, the responsibility of the government to link up with the migrant communities and just try to benefit from their resources. And I think there is a trend to, in the short run, just to keep these migrants abroad and just to try to benefit from the competences and try to benefit from their skills while they remain in their countries. I mean, coming back, it's an interesting question whether people are coming back for religious reasons, that now they have more freedom to practice their religion in Egypt. But at the same time, even Islamists, they would like to have communities living abroad for electoral reasons. Because now if you look at, for instance, what the Islamists have got in terms of votes in countries like Britain, they have got sort of a considerable community that are sympathetic towards the Islamists. Same, of course, in the Gulf countries and Saudi Arabia. I mean, the highest votes for Islamists from Egyptian migrants came from Egyptian voters abroad came from Saudi Arabia. So they would like to have this kind of of representation in other countries while they remain actually practicing the religion freely in other countries, which I think is not a problem.